So, are you happy with the cooperation with Przemo?
Very. Przemo is not only a good friend, not only a good student, but a very competent person, very easy to work with. You know, he's probably one of my favorite guys to work with. You know, in jiu-jitsu you have a lot of good fighters, but not always good people to work with. Przemo is both.
Okay, so what do you think about the jiu-jitsu level in Poland, and how do you think, like, how many years does it take to catch the top fighters?
I think that out of Europe, Poland is probably the highest level right now. Maybe maybe Finland and Sweden will be up there as well. But they're certainly very passionate about jiu-jitsu, which I like. Reminds me a lot of Brazilians. Brazilians are a lot like this. Very passionate about with the sport. Very into training, not so much into talking, and just like, hey, just get it done, train, and shut up. And I like that mentality. I think to some degree it's still a little behind the United States, but not much. You know, it's behind Brazil still, a little behind the United States, but not much. I think that in the next 5 years we're going to see Poland stronger than the U.S. as in grappling. But you know, I certainly see the sport growing. But if you think about it, it's still a very early stage of development in Poland. There are probably what 5 to 10 black belts in the whole country. You know, that's not a lot. You know, so you give it another 5 to 10 years, and Poland's going to become a superpower. There's no doubt.
So, what do you think about our country, and which visit is it now? Like,
how many times I've been here?
Yeah,
probably 7 now. I think, you know, I've been coming here since 2005. I think it was the first time I came here, 2005. So I came once a year. So yeah, at least 6 times. Six times, maybe 7.
Okay, what do you think about our country? You like it?
I love it, man. I love Polish people. First, you know, like when you first meet them, they're a little. But once you get to know them, they're very warm people. They're very welcoming. They're very friendly. Very happy people. It reminds me a lot of Brazilians.
And what do you think about the chances of Zibi on ADCC?
I think he did really well. I think Zibi's a guy that's a very, very good competitor. He's very passionate about it. He takes it very seriously, which is important. You can't be good at something you don't take seriously. He's a good competitor, smart guy. He's got a very tricky game. I think he can surprise a lot of people, especially because a lot of his competition aren't used to watching him compete, whereas he's always used to watching his competition go at it. So I think he can surprise a lot of people. I won't be surprised if he taps out some big names in Abu Dhabi.
Can you tell us something about your academy in Las Vegas and how many guys train there?
Man, we have probably 300 students now, 30 pro fighters. You know, half the UFC is training in my gym now for jiu-jitsu. We're expanding into a bigger location, like almost 3 times the size. So when I get back, it's going to be the priority, is moving into this bigger building. You know, it's growing, man. It's a lot of work. You know, being a gym owner is a lot of work, but it's growing rapidly, and we're starting to see the results. Our team's established itself as the biggest team in Las Vegas now. We're winning all the local competitions, even the regional ones. And I think within the next few years, we're going to have one of the biggest teams in the country. A few years after that, biggest team in the country, and one day in the world. You know, I think at the rate we're growing and the way we're growing, I see the team becoming a superpower in the future.
Would we ever see Robert Drysdale in jiu-jitsu tournament again?
Maybe. It's not a priority right now. I've made the last 3-4 years of my life have been kind of dedicated towards MMA, and I want to keep it like that. You know, I kind of drift into a different direction now, and it's not that I wouldn't compete in jiu-jitsu anymore, but I feel that in a way we're taking a step back. I want to take a step forward. I feel that in MMA I can take a step forward, but in jiu-jitsu I can only take a step back. You know, so it's something I'd consider. Like Abu Dhabi, still, you know, it's still a possibility. But to be honest with you, I'm favoring my MMA career because it does more for me professionally.
All right. So did you consider this Abu Dhabi like seriously, and did you think about, you know, getting prepared for it or something like that?
I'm always training. I never stop training. There's never a moment where I don't, you know, a week that I don't train. I don't take time off. You know, after a fight, I'll take like maybe 1 or 2 days off, and then I'm back on the mat. So yes, I am training, but you know, if I were to beat Abu Dhabi, I would probably, you know, stop working striking a little bit, maybe start training jiu-jitsu twice a day, kind of hyper focus on my grappling skills. But it's a possibility.
Do you train and keep in touch with like old Braza fighters?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm friends with everyone, man. I'm friends with everyone. You know, Braza was kind of, I consider Braza what it was before it split. best jiu-jitsu camp in history.
Yeah, and
there will never be a camp that will be able to match what Braza did. I don't think so.
Yeah, and why was it like that? Do you like the factor that made us see you?
It was a lot of good guys, a lot of hard training, and it was a family. It was a very, you know, cohesive group of guys, and we went at it. You know, we were like the Polish. Not a lot of talk, just train and shut up. You know, today people talk too much and they're obsessed with learning new moves and they don't train enough. We train. We went at it. We tried to kill each other every day, and we got good. You know, I think 2006 we won the Worlds. We had like 30-some competitors, and we beat Baja Gracie had over 100. You know, how many teams have done that before? You know, in Abu Dhabi 2007, we had 5 competitors. We brought home 7 trophies, 5 guys. The day I see a jiu-jitsu team do that, that's the day that team will be the best camp in history. For now, Braza was the best camp in history.
So, who's your master, and who's the master that you like think about your jiu-jitsu and you think about the guy?
It's hard to point out one person. I had a lot of teachers throughout my life. Steve Da Silva was my first instructor. He was not only a good instructor, but a brother. You know, a good teacher and a brother, and someone I look up to this day. Paulo Strecker was someone that taught me a lot. You know, he's the one that got me to compete. You know, like, hey man, you can be a really good competitor if you want. You should compete more. You need that experience, and he would drive me all over the place for competition. So he was a good friend too. You know, he taught me a lot. After that, Terere taught me a lot as well. You know, I trained with Terere for a few years, and Terere was, you know, he was a guy with a lot of issues, man, but he was a phenomenal coach. And then I trained with Leozinho, who was a phenomenal coach as well. Very technical, very talented fighter. You know, and yeah, he was the, you know, and then today I'm kind of on my own. I still have people that I look up to, like, you know, Comprito's a good friend. You know, I'm always talking to him whenever, you know, before a fight. But he's sort of a, you know, sort of a mentor for me now too. But I don't have, I mean, for the last few years, to be honest, I've pretty much been on my own. I've been Ronin, you know, kind of. I became my own teacher. In a way, it made me stronger, and I understand what a student needs better than anyone because I've been my own teacher for the last 5 years. So I think it made me a better instructor in a way.
And which of the famous fighters do you like train with? Talking about MMA, like all the UFC fighters.
Train at my gym?
Ones? Yeah.
A lot of them, man. Consistently, Martin Kampman. Tyson Griffin, Forrest Griffin, Frank Mir, Jay Huron is in there all the time, John Alessio, Danny Davis, Amir Sadal is always in there, Phil Barone is always in there. You know, there are always guys popping in. Alan Belcher, whenever he's in town, he comes to my place. Vitor Belfort's in there all the time. Man, like pretty much every UFC fighter you can think of has been in my gym. I trained Miguel Torres for a while. Benavidez is always in there when he's in town. A lot of guys. Right.
And is the UFC fight like your main purpose right now?
No, like I've always been a guy that I like to challenge. I like to set goals for myself. You know, not as in I'm obsessed with this belt or that medal, but I like to set goals and I like to make it difficult. You know, if something is difficult, I want to accomplish it. And I think MMA is something difficult to accomplish. If it's a UFC belt, or if we're just being in the UFC, I don't know. But I don't feel I've reached my maximum potential. I don't feel that I've been tested in MMA, and I don't feel that I've shown what I can do in MMA. So to me, it's a challenge. In jiu-jitsu, I feel that I've done that. You can always go and do it again, and there's always something else to win or someone else to beat. But I feel that I've tested myself in jiu-jitsu. Gi, no gi. I've competed against the best in the world. I've lost to some of them, and I've beaten some of them. But I've competed at the highest level, and I've done well. You know, I want to do the same in MMA now. I don't feel that I've reached the highest level in MMA that I can reach. And that's my goal now, is to be the best I can be in MMA.
Alright, are there anybody that you want to fight in jiu-jitsu? Like you got somebody in mind?
Really? I mean, there's a lot of guys that I wish I had beaten, guys that I wish I had fought. You know, guys that I didn't fight were guys like Bahal and Saulo Ribeiro. It would have been nice to have fought those guys. Those are like big names, names that, you know, are part of the sport, but I've never got to compete with them. And then, you know, guys that I didn't beat that I'd like to have beaten, like Roger or Jacare. You know, I'd like to have beaten those guys, but, you know, it's probably not going to happen anymore. But those are probably names that are always going to be in the back of my mind, like, you know, it's always going to be there. It's never going to let go of me. It's always going to be, I could have won that fight. But, you know, it's just life. You can't have everything. And, you know, overall, I'm happy. Like, I'm very hard on myself, but I have to remind myself, hey, man, you're not Jesus, man. You can't beat everyone. You can't beat, you know, there's only so much you can do. But but I'm not happy about it. You know, my part of me tells me I should have done more and I should have competed more and won more tournaments. But realistically, man, there's always going to be someone else for you to beat and another tournament for you to win. You know, so I feel that it was time for me to move on.
And what do you think about the belts in Poland? Is like a blue belt similar in Poland, similar to a US blue belt and a Brazilian one?
There's a lot more people training jiu-jitsu in the United States right now. So in the US, the crowd it's a fan crowd. It's not a fighter crowd. Not everyone that trains jiu-jitsu in the United States wants to be a fighter. A lot of them are just doing it for a hobby. The age average in the United States is a lot higher as well. They're a little bit older too. Like I get the impression Poland's more like Brazil in that sense, where they're younger and they see themselves as fighters. They don't see themselves as, oh, I'm just a fan, I just like jiu-jitsu, I just want to get a workout. Everyone that's in here has competition in mind. They're thinking about fighting, and that's probably the biggest difference.
Could you give a piece of advice for Polish jiu-jitsu fighters? Or Polish jiu-jitsu?
Compete as much as possible. Don't get into politics. It's stupid. Jiu-jitsu is about getting better jiu-jitsu, learning jiu-jitsu, having fun. It's a sport we love. Politics is a waste of time. Don't get into stupid rivalries between gyms. It doesn't help. It doesn't make you better. It accomplishes nothing. You know, and train hard, man. Train like a madman. Train like a maniac. Train when you're injured. Train when you're sick. Train when it's raining, when it's sunny, when you don't feel like training, when there's no one to train with. Train. Don't give yourself the option, and everything else will be a consequence.
All right. At the end, you want to thank somebody or say hi to?
I want to thank my sponsors, Hayabusa and Suffer Apparel. I'd like to thank my students in Las Vegas, my whole staff over there. You know, and all my affiliates worldwide, especially the ones in Poland. Chamo and Zibi have been awesome throughout this whole trip. You know, they put together an awesome camp, and I'm very happy to have them as part of the association. I see them as brothers, not only as students, but as brothers. And yeah, man, I just wanted to thank them for putting this together. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this camp. I think that everyone's enjoying it. I think everyone's having a good time, and that's what it's all about. So thank you for the Polish crowd, and thank you for grapplerINFO.pl.
All right, thank you.
All right, man.